Why do I feel lonely even when people like me? Ever wonder why people seem to enjoy being around you, but you still feel alone? Why compliments don't land? Why invitations don't satisfy? Why you can leave a room full of people who genuinely like you and somehow feel even lonelier than before? Maybe the strangest part is that you can't explain it. Nothing is technically wrong. People text you, they laugh at your jokes, they care about you, and yet, late at night, there's a quiet feeling sitting beside you like a shadow. A feeling that whispers, if they really knew me, would they still stay? That question changes everything. Because sometimes the deepest loneliness isn't being rejected, it's being accepted for a version of yourself that isn't fully real. You may have spent years becoming someone people could comfortably love. The easygoing one, the reliable one, the listener, the strong one, the one who doesn't ask for much. And somewhere along the way, you became very skilled at connection, but not intimacy. There's a difference. Connection is proximity. Intimacy is being seen. Connection is people knowing your personality. Intimacy is people knowing your fears. Connection is being included. Intimacy is being understood. Many people spend their entire lives surrounded by connection, while starving for intimacy. And the mind can feel that difference, even if nobody else can. You start wondering why relationships feel oddly hollow, why every conversation seems to circle around you instead of entering you, why you feel emotionally homeless in rooms where you're welcome. The answer often begins much earlier than you think. Psychology has a term called emotional neglect. Unlike overt trauma, emotional neglect is difficult to identify because it often involves what didn't happen. No one yelled, no one abandoned you, no obvious disaster occurred. But your emotions may not have been mirrored. Your inner world may not have been understood. As a child, you learned something subtle. Your feelings were less important than your functioning. So you adapted. You became what psychologists call attuned outwardly but disconnected inwardly. You learned to read other people. You learned to predict moods. You learned how to stay likable. But you never fully learned how to reveal yourself. This creates what attachment theorists call avoidant attachment tendencies. Not because you don't want closeness, but because closeness feels dangerous. Being known feels risky. Because somewhere deep inside, vulnerability became associated with disappointment. Carl Jung observed something fascinating. He believed every person develops a persona, a social mask designed to help us belong. The persona isn't fake, but when we over-identify with it, we become trapped inside it. People begin loving the mask, while the real self quietly waits backstage. And eventually, loneliness arrives. Not because nobody loves you, but because nobody has met you. If this sounds familiar, there's nothing wrong with you. Your loneliness isn't evidence that you're broken. It's evidence that your nervous system adapted brilliantly. Many children discover that authenticity feels risky. Maybe emotions were dismissed. Maybe vulnerability was met with criticism. Maybe you learned that being useful earned more safety than being honest. So your brain built protective strategies. Hypervigilance, people-pleasing, self-monitoring, emotional self-containment. These aren't character flaws. They're survival technologies. The problem is that survival strategies don't automatically retire when danger disappears. They keep running in the background like old software, even decades later. This is why you can be deeply loved and still feel invisible. Because the version receiving the love isn't the version carrying the pain. The mask gets validated. The wound remains untouched. This creates what some therapists call invisible grief. The grief of never being fully witnessed. The grief of being appreciated but not understood. The grief of belonging everywhere except inside yourself. And that grief is far more common than most people realize. You might notice it showing up in small ways. You struggle to ask for help. You automatically minimize your feelings. You become the therapist in every friendship. You reveal facts about yourself but rarely reveal emotions. You fear burdening others. You feel guilty when your needs become visible. You constantly wonder whether people genuinely care or are simply being polite. You overthink text messages. You keep parts of yourself hidden. You leave conversations feeling empty despite appearing engaged. None of these behaviors are personality traits. They're coping mechanisms. Protective habits built around a younger version of you. A younger version who concluded, "If I stay manageable, I stay loved." Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." But loneliness often works differently. We suffer not because nobody loves us, but because we've become experts at imagining what would happen if they saw the whole truth. The sadness isn't a lack of people, it's a lack of permission. Permission to be complicated, permission to need, permission to be human. And healing often begins when you stop trying to earn belonging and start practicing being known. The great irony is this: you do not feel lonely because people don't like you. You feel lonely because you've become disconnected from the parts of yourself that need witnessing. The solution is not necessarily more friends, more followers, more conversations, or more social activity. It's deeper honesty with yourself first. This is where healing starts. Through inner child reparenting, learning to listen to emotions instead of managing them. Through shadow work, welcoming the hidden parts of yourself you've spent years trying to make acceptable. Through nervous system regulation, teaching your body that vulnerability is no longer an emergency. Through choosing softness over survival mode, again and again. Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "The purpose of life is to be defeated by greater and greater things." One of those greater things is authenticity, because authenticity asks you to risk being known. Not perfectly, not all at once, but honestly. The goal is not to become more impressive. The goal is not to become more likable. The goal is not even to become less lonely. The goal is to become whole. Because wholeness creates a different kind of relationship, one where people aren't loving a performance, they're loving a person. And maybe that's the truth your loneliness has been trying to tell you all along. That beneath the mask, beneath the role, beneath the version you've spent years protecting, there is someone waiting to be seen. Not fixed, not improved, seen. And sometimes that's where real connection finally begins. If you recognized yourself in this video, comment yes below. Not for the algorithm, for yourself. As a quiet acknowledgement that maybe your loneliness was never a sign that you were unlovable. Maybe it was a sign that you were ready to stop hiding and start becoming whole.